Hi everyone, welcome back. So, last week, Monday at 6 p.m. last week, we read together Chapter 7 from Dream Catalyst. Again, available on Amazon.com, the US website. It ships globally, so you can order it to Canada from the Amazon.com website. But don't type Amazon.ca because it's not there. But anyway, thank you for sticking along and listening to the story. If you made it this far, I'm really stoked that you're into the story. And I'm excited to get on to chapter 8 with you now. So basically, we just finished chapter 7, in which we met Elfin and Heathen, and they played a bit of Scrabble. And now we are on chapter 8. Heavenless Skies is what it's called. And it's, for those of you who own the book, it's on page 164. For those of you who do not own the book, you can turn captions on for this video. The captions are iffy. They don't pick up on every word. Sometimes they switch words around, but it's better than nothing. So if you don't have the book and you would like to kind of have the words to follow along with the words, you can click the caption button down there. If you do have the book, it's on page 164. So we're going to continue on in Dream Catalyst, Chapter 8, Heavenless Skies. Opening quote. Passion drives us mad, but it's that brilliant kind of madness that brings us sanity, signed V. Perspective from the narrator, Angel. Did you miss me, dear reader? V's been fortunate enough to do without me for a while. Though uncertain and oftentimes directionless, V's life has thus far been smooth sailing. She has not met any immediate threat to her well-being or mental state, aside from her quarrel with family, but she recovered from that with ease. That is not to say her state of serenity will remain consistent for long. Frigid air does not exactly complement warm hearts, at least from my experience. The mountains are too cold for her and Leary. I hope, for her sake, she discovers this sooner rather than later, but in being an optimist, she can see the light in the darkness, even if it's dim and fading. This was, perhaps, her greatest folly. But she won't, let me not spoil it. No one likes a spoiler, not in life, nor in novels. Back to V's perspective. Heathen's apartment had a lot of leather furniture, black leather, nothing too frilly or overtly feminine. His apartment fit the stereotypical bachelor pad to a dictionary's definition. There were several trademark objects of a typical dorm, a magnet dartboard by the refrigerator, a bong by the sofa tables, quite a few empty beer cans crushed on the shelves, almost as if a house party had taken place and everyone placed their empties around the room. There was, to no surprise, a shelf stacked with board games at the back of the room. The room had an underlying stench of cigarette smoke. I loved the scent. It was a guilty pleasure. But I craved the scent of a smoker. Booze and the stench of marijuana were far less appealing. I sat on the couch by Elfin. He then, to my content, took the spot on the couch beside me. He passed me a Corona, and I drank it back. I didn't often drink, so I would need 2 or 3 more beers following this to feel a substantial buzz. Elfin was petting Leary, until she began to purr. I was impressed with Elfin's ability to calm her so quickly. Perhaps Elfin would be the one to accept Leary into her permanent home. Leary would be happy with her. The chatter of the party commenced. Stade, the stoic Zanny of the bunch, offered his contribution to the party's conversation. Yo, everyone! Initially the group continued their mundane chatter, completely ignoring Stade. Everyone, listen up, he projected in a drunken slur. After calling the group's attention 2 or 3 more times preceding this, Elfin urged everyone to silence themselves. Stade looked amused. If you could use one eating utensil, if you could use one kind of utensil for eating for the rest of your life, a spoon or a fork, which would you pick? Chopsticks, responded Elfin, nudging me. No, that wasn't one of the options, retorted Stade, slightly annoyed. Okay, fine, I choose a fork, said Elfin. Spoon, blurted out Dope, who just got back inside with Apt, each slightly high. Spoon, aggrieved Apt. It's more feminine. Oh, now we're gendering cutlery, Stade remarked. How is a spoon feminine? It's more elegant, Dote noted. You think it's feminine? Am I the only one who knows that cutlery doesn't have a gender? Stade was a little intoxicated at this point. Not everything he said made much sense. At this point, I was also reasonably drunk. Though I can't remember who it was that blurted out spork, I did remember, quite clearly, that this remark sent Stade into a frenzy. He had to leave the room for a moment to recollect himself. Elfin giggled, and I smiled at her. You know, I said in a drunken slur, similar to Stade, O'Leary needs a permanent abode. I thought I was coming across as intellectual by saying abode rather than home. It was a sad attempt at overcompensating for my glaringly apparent intoxicated state. When I looked back at that conversation next day, I determined that I, most certainly, came across as a pretentious drunkard. Oh, does she? Elfin laughed. Yes, oh, yes, I reaffirmed. Cats get car sick. Apparently I can't keep her. What do you mean by car sick? Elfin asked. You aren't staying? I assumed you were a student here or something. No, I'm a nomad. That's what Realist's mom calls me. Who? Realist's mom, I said. She likes me. She always asks what I'm reading. I miss that. Oh, I see, smiled Elfin. And what are you reading? Nothing. That's the problem. I'm not reading, and I have no gas. The room was beginning to spin around me. I stood up for a minute with no particular motive other than to test if the spinning would ease a new posture, but it didn't. If anything, it got worse. I sat back down and tried to recall what I was just talking about with Elfin. I was just a little buzzed. Heathen kept handing me drinks. I think I only had 3 beers and a couple shots. I don't remember any more, though. Elfin offered to go get me some water, but I tried to reassure her I was okay. I tried asking her to elaborate on her environmental projects, but I knew very well that my efforts to appear sober were in vain. Elfin was sweet about continuing a one-sided conversation, as I was in no state to provide an adequate response. After several minutes of dialogue, Elfin insisted, despite my request, that she retrieve a glass of water and a bag of chips for me. As she got up to leave, Heathen, who was sitting to my left, put his right arm around me and pulled me into his chest. I caught a whiff of his musky cologne and the stench of cigarettes on his breath. His breath smelt like rum, and I could bet his fingertips smelt of marijuana. This poor, distressed boy can't stay sober, I thought to myself. In my muffled mind and buzzed state, I imagined the deranged past that caused such a perturbation in this boy, which made him feel so broken that he had to resort to mood-altering substances. The story I mustered up of what I considered to be his troubled past was alluring, and his eyes, just as in the Barking Cafe, were piercing, even more so in the night than in the day. The drunken mind played out an array of jumbled scenarios as I considered what his troubled past might have been, all in which left the boy a tortured mess. I liked to imagine some sick, glorified tragedy that left him aloof. Maybe his soulmate cheated on him, and perhaps he left him in a disheveled state. No, it was not that it was that he had to leave his family, just as they discovered they needed him most. Was it an ambition that drove him to drink? Perhaps he realized a falter in his ambition to pursue his true passion. Maybe he needed to sacrifice his dreams for another's sake, and this left him feeling hopeless and broken. He must be some tortured, selfless genius, I fantasized to myself. I saw him looking off into the distance. I wondered what he was searching for. Was he staring into an abyss like Winnie in The Secret Agent? Why was he looking into the abyss? Was he waiting to get for it to look back into him? Intriguing, mysterious. I needed to grasp him. I needed to vomit. Oh no, I needed to vomit. I'll be back momentarily, I told the mysterious man. He then looked equally intoxicated, so he did not initially protest when I told him so. He witnessed me run to the restroom, and I think he got the hint. I looked at myself in the mirror. The room was spinning, so much that I could hardly recognize my own reflection. I looked into it again, and I saw a stranger looking back at me. She also wore red leather jackets and smudged eyeliner, but she did not look like me in the slightest. I heard a laugh knocking at the door. I told the person I would be another minute. "B, it's Heathen," said the low voice. "I have water for you when you get out. Hurry it up. I want to show you something." What could he possibly want to show me right now? My head ached. I splashed some water on my face and tried to ignore my queasiness the best I could. I opened the washroom door. He then threw a damp towel at me and instructed I put it up to my forehead. He handed me a glass of water and offered me some salt and vinegar chips. I accepted a few. He didn't say another word aside from taking my hand out to the balcony of his bachelor pad. He closed the door behind us. Sober up, I want to talk. He threw the chip bag at me. I am sober, I lied, accepting a handful of chips from his bag. Yeah, and I believe in angels. Please drink water. I did as he asked. You don't believe in angels? I asked in shock. Everyone in my neighborhood in the cul-de-sac with the yellow house believed in angels. No, and I don't believe in the tooth fairy either. But that's nowhere near the same thing, I said, doing my best to concentrate on what was happening in front of me. Well, both are stories, so yeah, I think it pretty much are the exact same thing. I rolled my eyes. I was beginning to feel myself sober up. So you mean to tell me you don't believe in angels? That's a little despairing, don't you think? No, I don't think so. Drink the water. You don't think completely disregarding the idea that our loved ones come back to watch us over us is despairing? All right, then. I don't. And I would find it despairing. I don't believe people come back as ghosts. Okay, well, do you believe in an afterlife? Because if you don't, I would argue that that is pretty depressing. I don't, though, he said. And I think anyone who does is naive. Naive, I spat. What about hopeful, faithful? You didn't strike me as a religious type, V. Ethan sounded disappointed. I'm not religious, I corrected him. I'm spiritual. The difference? Okay, so I believe in faith. I believe in hope. I believe in an afterlife. Why? Why do I believe in shit? I asked. Yeah, well, because I can't imagine a world where my loved ones died and didn't have a place to go. So you're afraid of an abyss yourself. You're just afraid of your loved ones would suffer non-existence. Yes. Okay, so let's play a game, said he then. What kind of game? 21 questions. I'll start. If you can guarantee heaven for one person, and one person only, who would you pick? Zeal, I answered. My sister. She's the one I worry about the most. Worry? Is she reckless? I like reckless girls. She's 3 years younger than you, I spat. So, my mother's 5 years younger than my dad. My sister is still in high school. You graduated college, you prick. It was only a 3-year program. Your turn. Oh, so you're not going to answer your own cynical question? Sure, I choose myself. Wow. Want to know why? He asked, smirking. Not particularly. Because I don't want to stop existing. People always assume atheists are fearless Mongols, these fearless martyrs, just because we don't believe in an afterlife. They think facing the truth makes us strong. Cynical, as you put it. People always need to glorify something nowadays. What you spiritual dumbasses don't realize is that we're just as scared as you are. We just choose to face reality head on. What's the point in living in ignorance? You get all defensive when someone even mentions atheism. If you really had legs to stand on, you wouldn't need to preach. You're an asshole, I told him. Those damn heathens. Your turn, he said, unfazed by the insult. Fine, I'll play. Master of games, what's your preference? Death by ice or fire? Ice. You? I'm not surprised. I choose fire. What, because it's red? He gestured to my jacket. Or because you like the attention? No, because I'm the flame. Heathen's piercing eyes sobered me. Your turn. Do you believe in soulmates? He asked me. I blushed. You would have to be pretty hard-bitten not to. Yes. Wait, don't tell me you don't. No, I don't believe in soulmates. And I think anyone can be your soulmate. You just have to work hard enough. Nothing jaded about that. Even you would have to admit it. I just believe you could love anyone, and anyone could love you. You're a blast at parties, you know that, right? I'm the shot that sobers you. Heathen gazed back at me. That's not the kind of shot someone would take willingly, I said, scanning his face. People like reality, he said. That's why you're talking to me now. There is something that intrigues you in pessimists. I know your type. Oh, I'm a type now? Lovely. No, not quite. But you're the person who poses as an optimist, hoping no one will find the pessimism buried deep inside. Because you think it's ugly and you hate yourself for it. But it's there. And you're not a kid anymore. You need to learn how to embrace it. I'm tired of seeing smart people praying for false hopes. Why not save the effort and do something productive about it? Whatever it is you're hoping for. Okay, your turn. Go. Do you believe in fate? I asked. He's got to believe in something. No, not in the traditional sense. What do you mean by that? I mean, you make your own fate, he started. I don't believe in destiny, fate, soulmates, afterlife, nothing. It's just a bunch of stories and false hopes. You know what I want to be? V? The shot that sobers people? I rolled my eyes. As a matter of fact, yes. I want to be that guy that pisses people off and shows them that luck and fairy dust and all that shit that you were supposed to grow out of when you were 10 is nothing more than a bunch of stories and pointless myths. If I were sober, I would fight you on this a little better, but I can't think straight right now. I'm having trouble even seeing straight, in all honesty. But anyways, next question, go. What do you do in your spare time? He asked. This one caught me off guard. I read, write songs, then I sing them. Why? Just trying to get to know you, V. What do you read? Shakespeare. You read Shakespeare? Don't you think you should be using your time to do something a little more productive? Like? I asked. I don't know, just something. What do you do? I asked. I sign up for math competitions. Nerd, I smirked. Rather be a nerd than a dumbass. Too bad you're both, I retaliated. What's an overused mantra? Something you consider to be a mob mentality. Oh, I know exactly what mine is. The myth that girls mature faster than boys. Mob mentality. Forget I asked. I wanted to go back into the party. I should probably go check on Leary. What's your pet peeve mantra? He asked. I sighed. It's far too overused. Einstein's quote that the definition of insanity is when someone repeats the same action over and over expecting different results. Everyone believes themselves to be so intelligent for quoting Einstein, and it irritates me. It's funny how they all repeat the same quote over and over again, expecting a different revelation each time they do so. How insane does that make someone? I smiled. That was a witty comeback. Heathen was an immature asshole. That much was certain. But he was intelligent. Not as bright as he led on to be, and not as talented as Elfin or me. Still, he did have something interesting to contribute to a conversation. Even if he was only skilled at being perceived as intelligent, that took some level of competence to maintain. At least, I wasn't engaging in small talk, or worse yet, sitting in on a group gossiping about one another. Okay, the last one, I said. What's a philosophy or theory you were always curious about? Trying. I want to live minimalist like a monk does for a month. I want to see if I can do it. What about you? Have you ever read The Stranger by Albert Camus? I nodded. You're curious about existentialism? I chuckled. And you don't believe in fate or destiny, and you want to die by ice. Sounds about right. Hear me out before you cast your judgments, he started. Existentialism is basically the ideology that one takes life as it is. No attachments, no companionships are formed when mutually convenient. Companionships are formed when mutually convenient, and they end when they no longer serve either party. I really only see pros to existentialism. You are not allowed to be materialistic, which means you can't contribute to the environmental epidemic. You aren't provoked into passionate disagreements, nor is mourning a loved one considered a grievance. It really is the simplest, most intelligent way to live out one's life. Simplest, sure, but not the most intelligent, I retorted. Oh, don't give me that liberal bull, V. Emotions hold us back. Think of how much more productive we would be without them, without empathy. We could all individually succeed. We would all be self-sufficient. You know, you may have a point. AI is some of the most interesting, AI is some of the most intelligent software we have existing to date. But would you like to know about another creature that entirely lacks empathy and does not mourn its loved ones, Heathen? Who? He asked. Apes, Heathen. Animals. There's a widely accepted misconception that it is our empathy that holds us back from achieving success. Though, those same individuals fail to acknowledge that it is our empathy, our passion, that differentiates us from apes. Without it, we would be no better than them. The idea of robotic superiority is a facade. I think I made my point loud and clear. Elfin burst into the room in a frenzy. Heathen and I looked at each other. What's up, Elfin? Heathen asked. V, I'm so sorry. I placed Leary on the ground for less than a minute. I just needed to go bring Dote some water, and now she's gone. I don't know where she went. I'm so sorry. Leary, I exclaimed. Where's Leary? Relax, we'll find her. Heathen reached into his pocket and pulled out a cigarette. He lit it after placing it between his teeth. You can sleep here until you find her. if we cannot find her tonight. In fact, I insist on it. I don't want this cat turning up a week from now with you 100 miles from us," he exaggerated. "Then I would have to take care of this damn thing." "I thought you said you liked cats," I spoke up. "I do. That was called sarcasm. Look it up. Could get you 11 points in Scrabble." "Yeah, well, you know what, Heathen? Calling you a prick scores me 13 points, shouted Elfin. "So, I guess you lost this round." Heathen didn't dare talk back to Elfin. She had a passion in her voice that I could tell she was mustering up for quite the time. "V, I'm so sorry about Leary. I thought everything was going fine. She looked as though she trusted me all right. I don't know what happened aside from the fact that I placed her down on the couch for less than a minute. I swear it was just the brief time frame. I didn't think it necessary to put her back in the enclosure." "It's okay, Elfin. It really isn't your fault. Leary has a lot of trust issues. She would have run away from me too. Let's just find her." Elfin and I searched the house for Leary. After we scanned the room and found no sign of her, we called the party to a halt and pulled the cord on the music. "We can't find Leary. Can everyone please help us look for Leary?" "Who?" said Stade. "Leary," I replied, "my kitten, the gray tabby in the cafe from earlier." "Of course, Bee. We'll help you look." Dode and Apt started looking around the place. Heathen continued to smoke on the balcony. He said he would be in soon to help search as well. "I'm sorry we lost Leary," sighed Elfin. "I trusted you with her, Elfin. With all of you," I outburst. "But it's okay. I'll find her. I have to." This was not the case. After several hours of searching, we still couldn't find Leary. He then suggested we break for the night and search again tomorrow. I tried to explain to him that kittens were more likely to come out in the night, as they were nocturnal, and that we should keep looking, but everyone seemed quite exhausted. "Kittens know when they're being searched for, V," said Apt. "They can sense you're looking. It's when you finally feel as though you have stopped searching for them that they will come out of their hiding place." "The more you interfere," said Dote, "the harder it is to win her back. If you let her roam free for a little while, she will come back." I was crushed to hear of Leary's disappearance, but my fear was relinquished when Heathen was kind enough to offer me a place to stay in the meantime. As we looked for Leary, he showed me his roommate's room and explained that he was now not in town frequently because he slept over at his girlfriend's place quite a bit. He ended up messaging him, and he agreed to let me sleep in his room for the time being. He then brought me bed sheets with flowers imprinted on the blanket. "You know," I teased him, "for a boy who doesn't believe in anything, you do have a soft side." I gestured to the sheets. "As I was saying," he started, "being rational and being human are two entirely different things, Bee." "What is your favorite flower?" I asked him. "Why do you want to know?" he asked softly. 21 questions, remember? We stopped mid-game. "White roses," he responded. "They're a classic." "I like red roses," I smiled. "Such a cliché," he said. "This is coming from the girl who didn't like the Einstein quote because it was too overused." "Well, it was," I laughed. "Oh, V, I should have probably let you know. While you're here, if you want to keep busy throughout the day, the Board Game Cafe is hiring part-time workers. I talked to the owner, and they said that they will hire you. You can start tomorrow. They aren't looking for someone with a lot of experience per se, more so a busboy. They're desperate for work, so even if you can only stay a week or so, you'll be doing them a favor." "Heathen, that's very thoughtful of you. Thank you, but I don't intend to stay for a week. I just want to stay long enough until I can find Leary, and besides, working at a coffee shop is not exactly what I had in mind when I left my home to follow my dreams. I want to find gigs, and I am worried that my job with the Board Game Cafe will interfere with that. But there is nothing wrong in having a stable income, is there? Plus, I'm not really sure how much these local gigs pay. You'll make more as a barista. The tips are excellent, too." "It's not really about the money, Heathen. It's about the art. I'm trying to get a little exposure so I can keep making music." "V, remember what I told you? Let me be the shot that sobers you. Vocalists don't get paid a lot. A lot of you guys don't even make careers out of it. This job is consistent, and it'll allow you to save up some cash. Plus, you have an open mic nights on Tuesdays, I think. You can do karaoke." "Heathen, don't tell me where I should or shouldn't be working. If vocalists work hard, we can make a career out of it." "Really?" he mused. "Then why haven't you?" I'm just trying to be logical, V. If you want to stay here, you'll eventually have to start chipping in on the rent. I don't want to stay here, I barked. I want to leave tonight if I could. But what about Leary? He taunted. I despised him for it. If Leary hadn't gone missing, I would never have had the heart to leave. He smirked at me and turned toward the staircase. You start at 8 a.m., he affirmed, and then he disappeared into the shadows. Perspective of the narrator, Angel. When reading a story, one can pick out the antagonist with ease. In one's own life, the differentiation between hero and villain is far less clear-cut. This is because, while people are not all good, no person is inherently bad either. Who is heathen if not the Heathcliff to this story, the jaded man with a tumultuous past, or rather the cleverly keen villain who utilizes his intelligence for brutality in those he projects his insecurities? We can only hope for the prior, but hope alone rarely suffices. No matter how cruel the villain of this book she scrutinizes, V always reads the villain with an empathetic lens. She often falls victim to their past and wishes them a more enriching future. Rather than lift her in the way she lifts them, the villain in V's story always attempts to drag her back to their lowly grounds. Thereby, V must collect herself again and again, placing back together the pieces that her antagonist once dissevered from her. Despite her antagonist's ill treatment toward her, V always rises. Better still, this time she will not be alone. Dear reader, we are with V now. If we pity her, she will stay safe. But let her learn first, dear reader. Let her learn, so she may thrive. Back to V's perspective. That night, when the day broke, and Leary was still nowhere to be found, I wandered to the cafe and began my first shift. Initially, I expected to only work a week, perhaps 2 at most. Then two turned to 3, and 3 became 5, 5 became 8, until 3 months had passed, and still I catered to the customers of the board game cafe. Most were rarely in high spirits, and oftentimes they were quite pointed in their orders. I found discomfort in the way they groveled into the shop. We were frequently overcrowded with customers midday on lunch break. They were rarely in the mood to converse, and patience was rarely a motive in them. They would often enter with the intent of belittling the servers. I had gotten rather close with the barista with the tattooed sleeve. We often joked about the first night we met. That awkward first meeting blossomed into a swift-forming friendship. Her and I, this afternoon, took our lunch break together at 2 p.m. As anyone who works in a cafe would know, you cannot take your break at the hour of noon because that is the time customers bombard the shop. One is either to take their break marginally early or unsettlingly late. So, I chose late, as did my friend. Busy day, she said, looking at her watch. And with karaoke night tonight, this place will be packed. I know, I've been dreading it, I admitted. Me too, laughed the barista. Will you be performing? No, I stated adamantly. I'm far too scared to perform in public. V, you sing, and you're good. Every karaoke night that comes around, I beg you to sing, and you always turn the offer down. I just haven't really been motivated to make music, I sighed. I would need more practice if I were to perform again. You sing beautifully, V. I think the customers would love if you were to sing. We have a lot of slots still open for you. Just as I started, I saw Heathen enter with Stade. Hi, babe, he smiled. He kissed me on the cheek. Back to the narrator's perspective, Angel. Oh, reader, how silly of me to forget to mention. Heathen and V began to date. For 2 months now they have. V doesn't remember this time very well, as it was an insignificant to her grander plan. But at the time, the relationship was important to her. I spoil again. Let us resume without protruding into the plot any further. Back to V's perspective. Heathen, tell your girlfriend to perform tonight at the open mic, the barista said, and he smirked. Oh, you want V to perform? Yeah, okay. She has stage fright. She doesn't like crowds. She's too humble for that shit, right, V? That's what I was trying to tell her. I turned back to the barista. See? That's it. I'm going out for a smoke. V, you're coming, she said, grasping my arm. Whoa, she doesn't smoke. Ethan stated. She can keep me company, said the barista. Girl talk. She dragged me out of the shop, with her hand firmly grasping my left arm. I had very little say in the matter. Lunch ends in 2 minutes, I said. Work can wait. We're always dead anyways. The barista looked into my eyes in a way I had never seen someone look at me before. I could not describe if it was pity or anger or pain that she projected to me through that look. All I knew was that I would never forget it. V, when I first met you, I didn't like you. I laughed. No, I'm serious. Hear me out. When you first walked into my cafe with that tattered red jacket and that damn cat, and you know I hate cats, I looked at you and I thought, nomad. I shivered in hearing her call me that. Flashback to Realist's mom ensued. She continued and urged me to silence when I attempted to interject. I thought to myself, directionless nomad, coming into my cafe with that smug look on her face, wearing those worn-out shoes and that broken, aged ukulele. Then you spoke, and I thought, no, not a nomad, an artist. There was something in that resourceful way you approached me and asked to be signed to the Scrabble match that I was sure that you had no idea how to play. I watched you bitterly because I hate both nomads and artists. Both cause a nuisance to me. Then I saw you leave to freshen yourself up. When you came back, you looked about the same on the surface, but something was different. At first I didn't know what it was, but then I saw it. It was confidence, unwavering confidence, and sureness, something that others lack. I saw those traits in you. Thank you! That is probably the sweetest thing anyone's ever said to me. Then we became friends when you saw I was not all that bad after all, I smiled. No, I'm not finished yet. This is certainly not meant to be a compliment. I was going to bite my tongue about this, but I wished someone shook me out of this before I fell into the same trap you're falling head first into. I want to do this for you, goddammit. I still don't like you, V. I mean, the real you. We became friends because I started liking the person you became. You are familiar now. What are you saying? I asked her. You don't want to be friends anymore? That is exactly what I'm saying, but not in the way you think. Okay, how do I explain this? Here. She pulled up her 3/4 sleeve and revealed her forearm to me. Like Elfin, it was covered in tattoos. Though I occasionally saw the barista's tattoos when she would roll her sleeves up to mop the floors or clean the counters, she never did showcase them to me. Once I asked her about them, and she brushed me off rather curtly. All right, here. She pointed to a tattoo of 2 masks, the symbols for theater, the emblem for emotion. I began to understand now. You're an actress? I asked, astonished. Not everyone involved in theater is an actress, V. The barista rolled her eyes shrewdly. Director? I asked again. She shook her head. I did the set design, and I was good at it. No one cares much for the actors, V, when the set was lacking. I was the set designer, and I was good. I was projected to design for Broadway. All of my professors said so. Nearing my graduation, I applied to several different theater companies, all of which my professors referred me to. I mailed out the letters, and I received word from one. I was ecstatic to find that my top choice, a theater company known to work intimately with Broadway set designs, requested an interview. It was in New York. So I got all dressed up and spent the money I had saved up on a plane ticket, and I flew out to New York City. Got all dressed up in my formal attire, and I printed off paper resumes, and I rented a cheap motel for the night before so I wouldn't be any complications. I practiced my interview over several Skype calls with my brother, and he told me I would ace it. In the morning, I walked to the studio office in my little kitten heels, and I shook hands with my interviewer, and I answered every question correctly. And they all saw my potential. It was clear that they were very interested in working with me. I was certain I would get the job. And you did, right? But you turned it down? I asked. No, I was rejected. The company informed me that they were no longer interested in offering me the position as my qualifications did not match those the requirement official was seeking in its candidate. V, that rejection email dismantled me. A few weeks later, a prof who was with the company reported back to me. They gave the position to a previous intern, male, who was in the exact same major as me, attended the same school, a year or 2 older, but with a horrendous work ethic. He had little ambition and worked to complete tasks with minimal effort. He graduated with a substantially lower average than me. I was heartbroken and dissuaded from my ambition. True, I got other interviews, but I canceled each of them. Eventually, I gave up canceling and simply stopped showing up to the interviews. I had pre-scheduled, permanently damaging my reputation with each company. A few weeks after sluggishly staying in the house, my parents became frustrated and offered me an ultimatum. I could either work for my keep, or would have to find another place to live. So I had to find a job, quickly, and I started waitressing at some restaurant uptown. I hated it there, so I started applying to other local coffee shops and restaurants. Now I am here, and I have been here for the past 3 years. I don't know what to say, I started. I do. I realize now why I didn't like you when I first met you. You reminded me of my actors. When I would do set design, I would hang out in the green room with the actors. Even though we weren't supposed to, they were full of life and ambition. They would sing inspirational Broadway songs on repeat, compliment each other, rather than envy one another. They would talk about the local shows they were performing in, talk about their ambitions to go to Broadway and perform as a soloist in Les Miserables, or some wanted to switch to film after they graduated. Some wanted to delve into opera. They were like you. I loved them once. Now, when I see an artist or a nomad like yourself, I loathe them. Not because I hate them, not because I envy them. I was speechless. I am no performer, I said, after a moment's deliberation. V, when you first met me, you told me you were a writer. Yet, you have not written anything substantial aside from a few poems on your break when you think no one's noticing. You started dating Heathen, and he started telling you your poems made no sense, and that your dreams and ambition to travel was childish and absurd for someone of your age to pursue. He used the cat to manipulate you to stay put. You have been here for 3 months, and have not sung one note, and you stopped looking for Leary. Don't give up on your dreams, V. Perform tonight. Could not believe this. The barista who despised me on the very first day was now giving me life advice? I am happy with Heathen, I told her. I love him. I am happy with a starless sky. I see no need to fix what is not broken. V, that is an absurd cliché. You never would have said that before you came here. Don't get stuck in this small town. It is a town designed for the small-minded, and I believe there are better things in store for you. I'm not performing tonight, I said, cutting her off. And I think our lunch break is over. Let's get back in. I stormed into the cafe and went behind the counter. I operated the cash register while the population of the shop increased. Since the weather had begun to get a little warmer, we opened up the patio. Everyone seemed to be a fan of it. I didn't see Heathen and Elfin in the cafe anymore, so I assumed they were out on the patio. Excuse me, exclaimed a woman. She was in her late 40s, and she had an empty mug in her hand. I dropped this on the patio. I tripped on the step by the door. Can I please get a refill? Oh, of course, I said quickly. I began to get the lady her dark roast, and I left a little room at the top for creamers. This one is on the house. Where did you spill it? Do you mind letting me know? I will go mop it up. Just by the door of the patio, I began. So I walked to the patio. I was right about Heathen and Elfin sitting out there. It was likely to talk strategy for the next Scrabble match, which was coming up in an hour. But then I began to hear some strange whispers interchanged between them. I stopped my mopping. I loomed a little closer in, suspicious, but also ashamed of my jealousy. Elfin, you know it's you. Then why are you still with her? You told me you would break things off. What do you want from me, Elfin? We're not together anymore. Anymore? What were they talking about? He continued, and I listened in the shadows. You're going off to college again for your master's, and I'm going to be stuck here again, and I don't want to be alone, Heathen admitted. Yes, but if we aren't together anymore, then why do you keep doing this? I'm not your girlfriend. She is. Go be with her. I love you, Elfin, he burst out. I felt my heart split into two. You're smart, funny. Look, I just can't let you go. I want you tonight. He doesn't have to know. Heathen, stop it. I can't do that to V. So you barely know V. So you barely know V, and you've known me for 2 years. You're going to put someone's feelings you've known for 3 months over mine? Wow. It's not like that, Heathen. Why don't you just give her the damn cat back and let her go? Why do you always have to be so childish? Wait, what did she mean by that? Did Heathen know where Leary was? The two looked at each other. Elfin bit her lip, and Heathen did not even bother to look to his right or his left to check to see if I was anywhere in sight. In my cafe, in my place of work. He leaned into the beautiful Elfin, and she reciprocated his kiss. It lasted 30 seconds, which was enough time for me to drop the mop to the floor and run to the cafe in tears, unnoticed by the two. The barista saw me and looked as though she wanted to reach out, but yet knew nothing to say. What can one say in a moment like that? Now I saw the heavenless skies Heathen warned me about. And that was Chapter 8. Spicy. So, with the author's bias. Yeah, so that was Chapter 8. If you want to tune in next week and figure out what happens to V, and I guess Heathen and Elfin, and Leary. Where's Leary? Yeah, so, sorry, this is like, I don't know how to do this. Yeah, thanks for tuning in for this week's audiobook. If you want to tune in again, Monday at 6 p.m., I'm going to post Chapter 9 next, and Chapter 9 is called Bursting Star. So, thanks for tuning in. I hope you're getting, having fun with the book. Thanks for tuning in every week. I'm really happy that my story is interesting to you. If you want to purchase the book, the link to purchase the book is in the description. If not, if you want to still help me out but don't want to purchase the book, you can also tell your friends about it, leave me an Amazon review, even leave a comment on this video if you want to. But yeah, tune in next week, Monday at 6, and then you will get to hear Chapter 9 and figure out what's happening next in Dream Catalyst. Thanks!